In a game where UConn showed some flashes of brilliance, but reminded the Husky faithful of how much work is left to be done, we still finished in a 90-49 victory. Come join us on Locked On Live. You're locked on.
You are Locked On Yukon, your daily podcast on the Yukon Huskies. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Yukon your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever we get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Here live on Locked On Live. I would have to say the Huskies showed flashes of brilliance in tonight's game, but are still clearly working to find their identity. They struggled to find consistent defensive rhythm in the first half. Foul trouble again, affecting key players like Samson Johnson, who only managed 11 minutes before his 4 fouls pulled him out of the game. Samson's presence on defense was definitely missed in this game, but things need to be cleaned up from that level if UConn wants to play at an elite level. Terrace Reed was a standout performer, played a solid 20 minutes off the bench. He was an efficient 4 for 4 shooting from the field, racking up another double-double, 10 rebounds, 12 points. 3 on the offensive end. That's something that they targeted in the offseason in the transfer portal. He was one of the best Big Ten offensive rebounders in conference last year. He's physical. He has the energy the team needs. He probably listened to Dan Hurley a little more after the comments and media availability. Some of those habits of not going up and getting the rebounds with 2 hands stopped tonight. Aiden Mahaney had an up and down night, going 0 for 8 from the field, struggling kind of on both ends. He made some strides. If we look at his stat line, 2 for 8 from the field, 0 for 2 from 3. A lot of those were in and out. Still seeing some adjustments from him. Feels like he's not quite getting to where he needs to be. But Hassan Diarra is that stabilizing force that I love. 10 points, adding some defensive intensity, showing that he might be the better option for consistent production. Maybe Aiden needs to be off the bench. We'll see. But all in all, if you look at it from this perspective, Jaden Ross didn't shoot well. He was 0 for 5 from 3, but had a great floor game. 2 steals, 5 rebounds, solid defensive presence, a lot of hustle. You can see his athleticism, like literally jumping out through your screen. And then the constants, Liam McNeely, Alex Caravan and solo ball, 15 points for Liam on 5 attempts shooting, including 3 of 8 from 3. Alex, 17 points on 7-11 shooting, delivered solid offensive performances. And honestly, on Alex's side, he had 3 or 4 really crappy fouls that I feel like you could blame on the whistle, but it's just kind of like a discipline thing. I think Solo Ball really kind of solidified himself as the go-to shooting guard in this team. 4 of 6 from behind the arc, 3 of 4 from behind the arc, and 14 points and 4 rebounds. I'm kind of like at a loss because overall UConn is a team searching for his identity, but I mean, it was 38-19 at half when they played poorly. And then it's 52-30 in the second half. So which do you live with? The team that struggles to score and doesn't allow the other team to score, or the team that looks aesthetically pleasing and allows the team to shoot a little better in the second half? Overall, UConn was, let's look at these stats. 36% from 3, not bad after an 0 for 10 start, and shot 55% from the floor against a shorter LeMoyne team that they dominated. Let's bring in Dan Meehan. He is my co-host on Tuesdays and Thursdays to get his thoughts on the game. Let's talk to him right now. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
How we doing? How are you?
Good, bro. Interesting game. I had a conversation on Twitter with a fan who I thought was a little aggressive with how we were playing pathetic. And so I apologize if I went a little too strong on him. But at the same time, I also acknowledge that I can say those things and acknowledge that if anyone saw me in my living room, they would think I felt the exact same way. Like, it always looks like we're down 10 when you're a fan because you expect the performances of the last 2 years. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I screamed Samson at the top of my lungs a couple times in the first 10 minutes, as did Dan Hurley, as it looked like on the telecast. He was flailing around looking like a dolphin on that that second foul Sampson had around the wing on the 3-point line. But yeah, I mean, listen, we're going to expect a lot from this team. We expect perfection after what we've seen the last few years. I wouldn't expect to see what we did last year. That team was just, ratings wise and efficiency wise is going to be one of the greatest college basketball teams to ever go down. It's not going to look like that again. I akin this team a little bit more to the 22-23 roster, where they're figuring some things out, trying to get contributions from the entire team. I think what was notable tonight, and they said it a few times on the broadcast, was Hurley was just cycling rotations in and out, trying different things, tinkering things. You mentioned Mahaney kind of with the inefficiency 2 for 8, but every guy on this team brings something a little different, which is just really taxing for the other team when you're playing against that. You're used to a Hassan Diarra who played incredible on-ball defense all night. The guy is just so exhausting for a ball handler on the other side. And then you bring in a guy like Ahmad Noel in the second half. You start throwing wings out there, Jaden Ross, Stewart, and it's just you're seeing something a little different, and that's tough to adjust to on the fly.
Yeah, I agree, and I want to bring in JB here in a second, who's waiting in the green room. But what I'll say is, before we do that, is the thing that's disappointing to me is when I did the transfer portal stuff this summer and spring and summer, after in the off season. And I think the thing that Aiden Mahaney was brought in to do, they're still trying to figure out. And I always do this because I did a couple screenshots, and I'm not going to put them on because I'm not going to blow up my friend Mike, who's a UConn alum and is down here in North Carolina with me. But he was like, I'm going to read these to you. He said, I prefer Diarra over Mahaney. And I wrote back, right. And I'd agree right now, but I think that's to be expected. The point of Mahaney was to come in and get to what Tristan's or Cam's level is, but and hopefully get there by, say, the Big East play by the most, like where you have to wait that long. Hopefully it's by Maui, but probably not. And he wrote back, definitely not impressed with him so far, but I know it's early, and I took Castle several games to get going last year too. Yep. I don't think you can put Steph Castle and Aiden Mahaney in the same
different player
category, different player, but the point is still there. And I came back and told him it's similar to what you said. So while Aiden is struggling to find his identity on this team, do you know who really stood out to me tonight? Is Jalen Stewart. He was fantastic.
Confident. It was his most confident game of the three, I thought.
But just stay with me for a second. He only took 3 shots. He had 5 assists because what Dan did was, okay, I'm going to put Jalen in the middle and allow him to facilitate because they have no one who can guard him at 6'7", 6'8" on the top of the key. And he delivered. Even on like a play like where they threw an alley-oop to Jalen and he couldn't throw it down, he came down calmly and just feeded it to Jay Ross, and they got a dunk out of it. So there are so many options for Dan Hurley, like we talked about earlier in the year, that if you don't get the immediate ROI from Aiden, let's all take a deep breath and relax because that kind of stuff is coming. Because this was the knock on Aiden before we get to any callers. This is the knock on Aiden, that he is not going to be capable of playing at a higher level, that he played down to his opponents in the WCC and played up against the Gonzagas and and other players that he played in when he played at St. Mary's. So they need to shake that tree a little bit and see if does he need to be benched? Does he need to work on specific things? Also, think about this, because John Fanta said this in the night. He missed some shots that were like wide open and just rimmed out. If he makes 3 of 8 or is 4 of 9 tonight, is the narrative different? I think that's kind of part of this too.
Yeah, I think the first half they started the game, I think 0 of 9 from 3, but 10. At that time 0 of 10. Yeah, so before Liam hits the 3, I think at about the 8-minute mark, LeMoyne was only shooting 30% to that point in the game. Yep. As long as you're getting good shots, moving the ball around, playing efficiently, the shots will fall. Even if you only shoot, last year's team shot really well from 3. This year coming in, I think we were expected to see this team maybe shoot even better than last year's team from 3. Even if we don't get that, this team is so good moving the ball around. They rarely get bad shots. Fanta noted it on the telecast late in the second half that there were no selfish shots tonight. I don't remember
Yep.
one. Every shot is a good one. That's not going anywhere. That's the UConn brand. That's how they run their offense. That's how they practice. So, start 0 from 9, not what you want. But as long as they're moving the ball around and getting efficient looks, those are going to start to fall. Mahaney, again, he's not going to be the most athletic guy on the court at any point in the season for the UConn Huskies.
No.
Cam Spencer wasn't, but it didn't matter. Cam got really good shots. I think Mahaney is taking the right shots that you want him to take, but you brought him into this program. Every single piece on this UConn roster brings something different to the court when they are on the court. He is a incredible, I think, number 1 in all of college basketball last year at pick and roll offense. That is what he is on the court to do. So when you either bring him on off, whether it's off the bench or whether he's starting, he's bringing something a little different with the ball in his hands than a Hassan Diarra, Ahmad Noel, or somebody else. So that's kind of, I think, more of the story right now and what they're tinkering with game to game. So.
No, I agree, and I'm gonna bring JB on the program now and keep you on, Dan. But like my thing is, before we get to him, is that look, it does take a while for a team to mesh, and people dealt with. I said at the beginning of last year, and this is 100% true. I think Cam Spencer was a decent defensive player, but my biggest fear with him was that he was going to be exposed with athletic guards. People taking him down low, people taking him off the dribble. You're seeing some of that with Aiden. If Aiden was shooting 50% from 3, nobody would care. So he's got to figure out his role and then allow some of that defensive deficiency to just kind of roll off his back, because you're not always going to be a lockdown defender. And so I think that's my biggest takeaway from tonight from the Aiden debate. Let's get JB in here. He's been waiting for a little while. What's up, dude? Let's get you on the program.
Mark, I'm just going to stay audio only. Thank you to both of you.
Yeah, man, that's cool.
Excellent coverage. I just want to add one thing in about Mahaney, because you're already doing a lot of breakdown. I could have asked a couple questions, but you basically already addressed them. That's how in-depth the show is. But I want to say that the guy's coming from the West Coast Conference to the Big East, coming from the West Coast to the East Coast, going to a program where you go from, it's a good program, don't want to put any knocks on St. Mary's, to a high championship pedigree. He's got a competitor in Diarra with him right there at that position. So the fact that it's taken the guy a few games and he's not quite looking like he's on top of it, when the coaching's at such a higher level of intensity, everything around the program's ratcheted up, and people want a third championship, I just say give the guy a little bit of time. If he needs to come off the bench sometimes, okay, he needs to start. The staff's going to figure that out. But again, it's early. And also the one point you brought up that was pretty good about the how many rotations they're throwing in, that's to try to figure out what's going on. That's like it's almost like watching hockey right now. There's so many shifts coming in and out that, again, not to belabor myself, but to say that just give the guy a little bit of time from my perspective, from the fans' perspective.
Oh, for sure, man. JB, where are you from? Are you calling from Connecticut or another place in the country?
I'm calling from Indianapolis. I'm a UConn grad.
Look at you.
And I started watching your show last year, and watch it quite a bit, and just love watching the Huskies. And people get tired of me wearing Huskies gear around here because I got a lot of Purdue fans I work with. I
got you.
And then poaching guys from the IU program too, right? So you got all these fans. This basketball crazy state.
What do you say to Indiana fans or Purdue fans if they see you with a UConn jersey or any type of swag? Like, what's the typical response to you wearing stuff in the state of Indiana?
The Purdue fans got a little salty last year, like, oh, Hurley's dirty guy. And I just let them kind of run out their jive, so to speak, because I'm just like, people got to walk by my office and see 6 banners up and then a 7th one celebrate.
It's just banners. JB. It's just a one-word response, my man. Scoreboard. Scoreboard.
And I've got 2 chairs in my office from the 23 Final Four in Houston. Like the official sideline ones and stuff. So there's just all this stuff up all over the place. And I was on campus when with the first team, like those guys were in my classes and stuff. So it's absurd to think that I was at this little state school that I first started getting excited when they won the NIT in the late 80s. And then I was on campus with these guys, and then took a little bit of break and went back and finished with the 04 class. So I was on campus for both of those. And it's just unbelievable to be sitting here and watching this. I mean, yeah, I am
you were
greedy,
part
though.
of the
I want
building
that seven.
blocks that created the basketball capital of the world, my friend.
Yeah, I'm one of those fans who was around back then. But it's great. Hey, it's great pride for real estate, right? You go through there and you never think when you go to that town and you see those.
You kind of broke up there, JB.
Dairy barn and the hills. Okay, well, I'll let you guys go. I'm sorry, some problem with my Wi-Fi. It kicked me off. I couldn't get that.
No, you're good, bro.
But thanks, guys.
I appreciate you.
You're good, man. I think I heard Dairy Barn. And listen, we love you. Keep repping the Huskies in Indy. I got North Carolina on lock. Obviously, Dan is in our home state of Connecticut. So really appreciate you jumping on and keep repping Locked On UConn, man. I appreciate you. All right. I dropped the link in the chat. If you guys want to jump on, feel free. I know we got a couple people that asked if they can come on, so feel free to jump in. I'm going to add something as like an aside. What's really interesting is, did you guys see Dwayne Caramo from LeMoyne? Like, I don't know if he's I'm going to look it up. I don't know if he's available in the transfer portal, if he's like a underclassman. But you know how UConn does when they play against a guy that plays similar offense and plays similar to them. Because what did Dan say at the start of this game, or even in the media availability, that LeMoyne runs a lot of similar offense, right? Yeah. And so let's see about this guy, because he's a Berlin kid. He's 6'8", 205 pounds. He's the type of kid that I could see them. He's got a year of eligibility left. Just throwing this out there next year when this kid is available to jump into the transfer portal, because let's face it, he got recruited by Rick Pitino at Iona. I know Dan and Rick don't like each other, but they try to go after some of the same players.
Little jab.
So I'm just saying, remember the name.
It's how we found.
Dwayne
It's one of my favorite photos ever. I have them all saved on my desktop in a folder from years and years of just collecting cool photos in the Huskies run. When they played 3 years ago now against East Carolina, one Tristan Newton, who they played against, I think had 26 or 28 points against them, and they go out and get him in the transfer portal. You know, so it's not beneath this program to play a guy, say, hey, he played well against us. Let's take a look.
All right, let's go. We got a couple guys waiting. I'm going to bring in some more dudes. Let's go. Fair the God. I love this handle, dude. What's up, my guy? How are you doing?
What's going on? What's going on, Mark? Man, good to see you, brother. Hold on, my phone fell. Sorry.
You good? You good? What you got for us tonight? What did you think of this game? We talked a little bit about this team that's deep. It keeps continually to start slow, but it feels like the offense is getting whatever they want. Shots didn't drop tonight initially at the beginning, but then you look at the box score. It's kind of like when we watched that URI game and people were concerned about the interior defense, and then you look and they have like 12 blocks.
Again,
concerned about the shooting, and they still shoot 37% from three. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I actually was I coach, so I missed the first half. I caught the second half. I was pretty much like looking back and forth, but once the second half started, it seems like they went on that run at the end of that first half, and I was just really excited to see like Stewie kind of get his feet under him. It felt like that was a big thing for me, like seeing him kind of look more like what we expected to see. And Jaden Ross, man, he's just he just jumps off the screen instantly, like right away.
Mm-hmm.
Every time that I watch him, more and more, he looks so comfortable. I'm really excited to see what he does this year, and just the second unit in general. Honestly, I don't know how a lot of teams are going to really match up with our second five, let alone our first five. How that's flowing. So really excited about the team this year, man. And I think that as you guys were saying, once the Aidens and the other guys kind of get their footing under them, this team is just going to take off.
Let me ask you a question, man.
For sure.
You're a coach. If you got
Aiden,
football. That's okay. It doesn't matter. I'm just saying from a perspective, scenario. If you have a kid who you had a lot of high hopes for, and they're making a change and they're coming into your program, how long do you wait in terms of the starting lineup before you decide to say, all right, man, like, we love you. We're still going to give you some run, but we're not going to start you. Like, so I don't think that's happening with Dan, but I do hear it. I do hear some of this, like some of the Twitter folks are coming at me a little bit and saying, hey, I'm not super impressed with Aiden. And part of it is because I was on Aiden early and I thought he was going to come here. So I'm still excited about Aiden's eventual potential. but I hear people's concerns. Like from a coaching perspective, what's your thought process on that?
I think as long as it doesn't mess up the flow of how the team operates, right? So for me, Aiden still is able to mesh well with that first unit. And then when the Haas comes in with the second unit, it kind of just hits the ground running. So there's really no drop off, either way. I think that, again, as long as the continuity is there and everybody's the offensive flowing, I think on the defensive side, that's kind of where I get a little nervous because I feel like Haas tends to ratchet it up a little bit more on that end of the floor and gets us some open looks and gets the ball moving down the court a little bit faster as well. But I think that, again, that first unit, they're still scoring. They're still able to roll once, Liam and AK is hitting jumpers, then the rest of that offense opens up. So I don't think at this point that's something we really have to worry about because, it's flowing. And again, that second unit, once any other team gets into their 6th, 7th, 8th guys and we bring in that next 5, there's not much you do with us and we just go on a run.
What do you think, Dan? Like, I think I agree with my guy here. I think that there's like an interesting, connective tissue between this team and I feel like not last year's team, but the year prior, like the 22-23 team that you've mentioned on previous pods, where it's like they're 10 deep. Like on any game in that season, you'd have Naheem Aleem drop like 12, or you'd have Joey Calcaterra come in and give you 9 off the bench.
Right.
And it just feels like this team has that similar vibe to it. And I think that's why Dan
I think they're 2 players deeper than I literally think they're 2 players deeper than that team was. That team had their defined 8, which is what you want going into a national tournament. This team has 2 Division I starting lineups. They could lop off the next 5 guys and go give it to another roster, and that would be the starting 5 of another Division I roster. I think coming into this year, we wanted, the efficient shot taking is going to continue. Whether they make the same shots at the same clip as last year's team, we'll see. But they're still getting good shots. I think the story of this team might be their defense, but you saw it in the second half. Once these wings are clamping down on the wings of the opposing team and they get out and run, that creates offense for them. They were, how many breakaway layups and dunks did they have in the second half? Solo was just total spark plug. I want to see more of him on offense, just putting him in more positions to be able to just kind of create. I think he's such a great athlete. He dribbles well. He moves. He's just flying around screens tonight. If he had 3 or 4 open looks off of screens, hit 3 threes, I think. He missed the breakaway dunk in the second half. It was like deja vu from the one in the first half. He did the same thing in the second half. He hits a 3 coming off a screen, gets a breakaway steal, dunk, comes down the other way, other end, hits another 3, misses the dunk on the next play, but then gets back on defense, knocks the ball away, and it leads to another dunk. It's ridiculous. Like they're just all over the place.
Do you know what's so interesting about that is that even though you're 100% right on Solo, when he misses that breakaway dunk where he kind of got in between in his jump, then he hustles back down the field, gets a deflection and gets the ball back, and then kicks it to Jaden for an easy dunk. So it's dunk. This team is Dan Hurley personified. There's no sulking. There's no like, oh shit, I can't believe I did that. There's no time for that. What can I do to continue to, create winning plays for this team? All right, man. I have to ask you. I asked the last guy too. You're a coach. Are you local to Connecticut, New England? What's your deal? Coach West.
Waterbury,
the Dirty Water. Let's go.
So funny story. I actually played high school ball with Ryan Gomes at Wilby. Okay. Yep. And one of my kind of like big brothers is Edmund Saunders, man. I'm Waterbury born and bred, man. Yes.
Dude, it was his birthday last week, correct?
It was.
I was about to say we gave him a shout out and we gave him a highlight reel. We gave him a highlight reel on our socials.
Awesome.
If you're still friends with him, tell him he has an open door policy to come on the show. That 99 team was my absolute favorite team of all time. I am a 1987 UConn baby in terms of like how I started watching this team. I love the dream season, but that 99 team was my like senior of high school. And like that was my guys.
Yeah, for sure.
So for sure, man. So like anytime he wants to come on, please. And anytime you want to come on, dude, please. We always want fans to engage. So I appreciate you so much, dude.
Definitely. Thank you, guys.
Any parting shots before we get to the next caller?
No, I mean, I just wanted to give a shout out to my team, actually, the Waterbury Patriots. We play this weekend for a regional championship and a chance to get to nationals. We were in nationals last year on my 10U team. So big shout out to all the kids out there working hard and looking forward to hopefully getting this win this weekend and getting back out in Florida and representing for Connecticut.
Best of
luck,
luck,
man. Well, listen, we appreciate you. Best of luck.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate you jumping on and giving you some perspective. Awesome, man. Coach
Keep
West,
up the great work, fellas.
Appreciate you, bro. All right, man. Love that. Let's bring on. I know Steve's been on waiting for a while, so I'm gonna get Steve in here, and then we're gonna talk about keep just talking about this game. We'll go for about 10, 15 more minutes. Steve, what's up, man? Are you with us, Steve? Hold on, you're unmuted. Can you hear us?
How do you? Hello?
You're good, bro. Steve, you
Are
with
you
us?
hear me?
Yeah, we hear you, man.
Yeah, how's it going, guys? Yeah, I'm also from Waterbury, from the last caller,
Okay.
and I feel this team offensively is a lot better than last year.
Okay.
How so?
In what way?
To me, I mean, I don't know if you know this, but to me, I think they're a lot more quicker and they have bigger wings.
Yep, that's true.
And I
Not
feel
wrong.
and I feel Aiden Mahaney will get going. He's too good of a shooter not to get going. He just has to get used to the physicality of the Big East, I feel.
I agree.
I mean, does it worry you at all that we haven't even got to the Big East and he's still having some issues? Like one time he blew by a guy, but he still got blocked by a pretty average, low major guard at LeMoyne. Does that bother you at all?
I don't want to say it. I would say yes. I need the team, but I know the coaching staff will get him up to par, and I feel about Biggie's play. He'll be averaging like 12 points a game.
Okay. I mean, listen, man. If you're right, dude, if he's averaging 12 points a game on average going into the Big East, we're gonna be damn good because that's exactly around where Dan Hurley wants them to be. He wants to be somewhere in between that Cam Spencer, Tristan Newton. Doesn't need 17, doesn't need 8, somewhere in that 10, 12 range. That kind of production is where we should be. Do you feel as if go ahead, keep going.
I'm sorry. I just feel because I've seen him play at St. Mary's and I know what type of shooter he is.
Oh, for sure. I'm still high on him.
The only thing that I question with him, but I think we'll get halfway decent is his defense.
Yeah, and I think Dan and I talked about this earlier, which is like that doesn't bother any of us because if Aiden is the type of player that they want from an offensive perspective, there's so many other defensive stalwarts on this team. To have one kind of weak link on defense is not going to make or break this team. Like, there's no way that you can pick on just Aiden from a defensive perspective and beat this UConn team. It's just not possible.
No.
That's my thought.
What's your thoughts on Terrence Reed? Do you think he's like a little better than Sonogo was?
Oh no, not yet. Dan, what are your thoughts on that, man? I think that's a tough ask. I think what we're seeing is the makings of a guy who could be as good, but that's still a tall ask. This guy was a most outstanding player in the Final Four. Yeah. He has double doubles already in his career here. He had another one tonight. I think 12 points and 10 rebounds. So it's just one of those things where. But I'll let you answer that, Dan. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I think we heard it in this week's press conference from War Center yesterday that Terrace wants to model his game after Adama. That's high praise. That's UConn legend. So that's a guy you want to model your game off of. He's got the stature. He's a little bigger than Adama was. I think he's 6'10". Adama was probably 6'7", 6'8".
6'9". He was 6'9".
No, he's 6'10", man. He's a full 6'10", about 260 pounds. He's a beast. And Adama's what, 6'9"?
Yeah. So his stature allows him to kind of model his game after a guy like that, where he can. I think Adama got better every season, and Terrace, he's got a full season of runway here to kind of work on his game. He's going to get better every single day practicing against those guys. So he's not there yet offensively, but he has all the full plethora of skills to get somewhere close.
And I agree with you. I think by the Mile Invitational, he's going to be the starting over Sampson.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay.
It'll be interesting.
We'll see, man. Steve, where are you calling from? You said Waterbury?
No, I was born in Waterbury, but I live in New Britain right now.
Hard hitting. I love it. We both Dan and I both said that at the same time. All right, man. We're gonna drop off and let Tyler jump in. Really appreciate you jumping on and keep listening to the show. We'll see you on the next Locked On Reaction Show. All right, brother.
No doubt, and thanks for representing Kenneth Game, Carolina.
Absolutely, brother. All right, let's get Tyler to the stage. And before we get to Tyler, I will say I think I'm gonna double check this. UConn had, I think this is the biggest. I wouldn't say it's the biggest stat of the night, but it's damn close. All right, 24 assists on 35 field goals made. That's impressive, guys. This team hasn't even played together for more than really 3 games this year. Like,
and I run down a few notes as well.
Please hit me with it.
Yeah, they finished 3 games in a row scoring 90. I don't remember the last time that they did that. They came close last year to start the season. They went 90, over 100, and then sub 90 for like 87 points. But UConn wins the rebound battle 42-23, just completely overwhelming. Not a surprise. They're playing a team that wasn't even a Division I team last year. Yep. 7 steals, another 9 blocks, only 7 turnovers. So just completely, really efficient on offense. UConn had 17 points off turnovers. LeMoyne had 0. So just a top to bottom, really efficient game. So
I'll answer this question first, and then we're going to get to Tyler. Which bench player do you see as a potentially becoming a starter? Honestly, guys, I hate doing this because Dan Hurley has won back-to-back championships, and whoever the hell he wants to start, he can do it.
I was going to say that. We can go through I see some notes coming through on the chat. Everyone, we can have our gripes about the Aiden Mahaney.
It's not even about Aiden.
Dan Hurley does not care what you say. He does.
He also doesn't give a shit what we say either.
They're going to keep doing what they're going to do, and they're probably going to be more right when it all shakes out, not us.
Yeah,
so
and
I complain. It doesn't matter.
But Sadie Mady, whatever your name is on there. I honestly think if it was up to me, I would start Sampson. I would start Terrace over Sampson. But that's it. If you want to keep Aiden in, it doesn't matter who starts. It matters who finishes the game and how you go about it.
We're so bored. We're so bored. How bored can we get? I think we've won 3 games by combined like 100 points. Like, don't pick too many nits early. Let's just keep watching the games, keep having fun. But
for sure,
let's not tell these guys they're the best in the country at what they do. We should be doing
absolutely.
We should be doing
remember,
that.
Guys,
keep watching the games.
Remember. Before we get Tyler in here, I will say one last thing, and I know I'm not stalling because I love Tyler as a guest. He was on here with like a sore throat and killed it the other day. So what I'm saying is like this. Just remember who this staff is. They're literally going to high school kids and saying your points per possession is where we need it to be, and we can get you better. So if they feel like someone should start, you should probably listen and not worry about it so much. They're putting you in
specific situations and spots for a reason. They've already done the homework.
Tyler, stop yawning. Get in here. What's up, brother?
What's going on,
Shouts out DC. Shouts out DC.
Yeah.
DC.
Yeah. So I feel like I came away feeling more positive than maybe the general consensus here.
I love it. I love it. Give it to me.
Too. Yeah. So I guess the way to characterize the New Hampshire game, like the first half, the offense, it was just like total helter-skelter. Like, what the hell? What were they doing? And, they settled down in the second half. But in this first half, I felt like they came out with an actual identity and they were running their sets. They're staying kind of true to their identity. It was more characterized by like guys that just haven't gelled. They haven't played with each other. They're, missing backdoor passes, whatever. And really, they were just missing shots. How many shots went down and then came out? And
started 0-9 from 3 tonight before Aiden hit the
exactly.
one.
Exactly. And then related to that, to kind of, I'm going to cut Mahaney a little slack here. He missed 3 layups and 2 of his 3 threes went in and out. So he could have had a very different night. And one of the layups that he missed, he followed and put right back in. Yep. Right. So that's something I like to see, a guy that's following his shot.
First shot of the game. Yeah.
And another thing about Mahaney, he only has 1 turnover in 3 games. So I think what you get with him is you get a much more controlled offense. And I think it's really just him. He's on this roster that's absolutely loaded, right? And I think it's similar to Stewie in a way, right? Because like Stewie came in with, we all thought Stewie was going to be that, the first guy off the bench, right? And it seems like he's kind of like almost out of the wings. He's kind of like the last fiddle now, it seems like. And Mahaney kind of came in with all these expectations, and they're both on this roster with just so much talent. And they're used to, these guys are used to being the stars of their team, right? So they have to like kind of resort and figure themselves out and how to contribute in ways that they haven't had to before. And I saw
Here's
that.
what people, I totally agree. So all great points. Here's one thing that people need to consider. This team plays an incredibly well-rounded team brand of basketball. Everyone's getting good shots. Those shots are going to start falling for guys like Mahaney. He doesn't take bad shots. Nobody on the team does. Dan said it this past week in his presser. Jaden Stewie, maybe I don't see a drop off yet. It's only been 3 games. He's still athletic. He's still playing in defense. He's still engaged. Every guy has a different timeline. These are 18, 19, and 20-year-old kids. Everybody matures differently on the court. Everyone's going, when they're playing this team brand of basketball, they're all getting good shots.
Yep.
Keep trusting the process. Knock down your shots when you get your chance, and you're going to look good. It's just every guy has a different time.
For sure.
And what I will say too, to piggyback off of that, Dan, it's a great point, is there's a couple things, right? First thing is, I wrote this down specifically. You can just see that Liam McNeely plays at a pace that is his own. Like, nobody rushes him. He gets to the basket whenever he wants to. If he gets cut off, he pivots and pulls out no matter where he needs to go.
He's already a consistent constant on offense. Like, they don't have to worry about him through 3 games.
Very similar to Alex Caravan in like that clone aspect of, he literally is the type of player that they're constantly looking for. Some of the other players are that maybe lean more on their athleticism are a little slower. And then you look at someone like Aiden, who you really can't say that about. You can't say Aiden is leaning on athleticism. I think Aiden is more just figuring out his role with the team, which is, I just want him. I want him and Samson to play at their pace. Like, I know it sounds weird because they play vastly different positions, but Samson and him, to me, are keys to this team, because if Aiden plays well, and to Tyler's point, he hasn't turned the ball over at all, really. And that's a fantastic stat. But he also hasn't given them the production that they've thought, but they also want to give him time. And then Samson,
but why do you bring a guy like that in? Because he's smart. Because he
makes better decisions.
He's played big minutes in big time games. You bring a guy like that in that is ready to get plugged in. So even if he's cold, he's 0 for 5 from 3 on a given night.
You're right.
Keep giving him the ball. He's never going to take the wrong shot. He's going to keep making heady plays and be consistent when he's called.
And you're right, Dan. So, but conversely, someone like Samson, who's been in this system for multiple years now, I want to see that mentality from him, which is like, dude, the same thing that Dan said. It's like, stop mauling dudes. Yeah. Just use your athleticism. Take your time. You're so much more athletic than almost any guy you're going to play against, whether you're playing against LeMoyne or Seton Hall or Villanova or whoever, even Gonzaga. Like, you think he's less athletic than some of the guys that they have? Absolutely not. He's probably the most athletic guy, like pound for pound, we have on that team as far as being springy and being able to jump and quick jump. He need everyone that is kind of going too fast needs to take a breath and be like, listen, we know Dan Hurley is putting a lot of pressure on you guys, but relax. Like, you're fine. Like, in a game, it's not practice anymore. Just go play. I know that sounds very similar to what Dan said, but it's the truth. You saw it on Dan he starts going crazy and flopping around on the sidelines when Samson commits that foul on the wing. He's not so much pissed off at the foul. It's that just play defense and keep playing defense. Move your feet. Don't bail out a lesser opponent with these stupid plays. I think it's more so that.
He's always trying to make the big play when all you need to do is contest the shot. Just contest 100%. The shot and get in position for rebound. He tries to make these,
don't be a hero.
Swat the ball into, out of bounds, but then he's out of position to get the rebound. That happened twice tonight. The one time he goes up for the block, it ended up the guy came in and got a layup, and the next time he blocked it, but then it ended up going out of bounds. So it's kind of like
there were times last season when even Klingon, who's an incredible shot blocker and even longer, he doesn't even have to jump on most of these, but he would take with a little head fake, a hezzy off the defender. That was he really started to figure that out in the back half of last year.
Yeah, so that was I feel like that was an issue at the beginning of Big East play last year. Klingon was leaving his feet all the time, and then they just basically drilled him. Just don't leave your feet. Just play straight up. And after that, he was fine. He was never in foul trouble again. I think Sampson they just got to drill into him. Like, listen, you're super athletic. Your big moment, your big play will come, but not every play needs to be this, awesome, amazing play.
And few more film sessions at the worst center. It'll get drilled into Sampson soon enough.
But related to that, I felt like in the New Hampshire game, I felt like the wings were also trying to make these big plays. Ross was, overplaying stuff. Diarra went for a steal. I thought the wings played much better defense tonight, and kept their man in front. Awesome. Like how many they had how many shot clock violations, and then twice they banged threes, twice they banged threes. So this game
it's not only it's not only what shows up in the stat sheet. It's just Jaden Ross challenges everything on defense. He's getting close to the defender on every shot. They're pesky. They're getting their hands on balls in the passing lanes. Those wings, I think most of them have 8 foot, 9 foot wingspans. Like, they're huge out there. It's
that's what I want to see. I want to see just what I saw tonight on the defensive end. I thought from the wings, I thought was good. And then one other play that I wanted to call out that I thought was awesome. So Reed had 2 alley-oops, not the dunk, but the layup, dude.
Yeah.
6'10", 260. The dude hung up in the air. Like, the ball was underthrown. He had the help, and he put it in. A dude that big making that kind of play on a fast break. I mean, I think this guy is just going to be – he's going to be a beast.
He's scratching the surface.
Yes. We just have to keep peeling back the onion. He's special.
Yeah. He's going to be
special. Go back to Dan Hurley's media availability from like a month ago where he said, we need to get Terrace Reed to understand that he is – so athletic,
too talented for his own good.
Thank you.
Yes.
Very, those are the quotes, and all that matters. And because think about this, what happened in these last couple of years where they didn't shoot well in certain games to start a game? Well, they dumped it down low to Klingon, they dumped it down low to Adama, and they figured out through the inside out game. Field goals in this game, first half, they were still 15 of 31. They just shot poorly from 3. So they were just under 50% in the first half. Then they were 15 of 22 in the second half. Yeah. So this team is not as bad as what people want to freak out about. And it goes to some of the stuff I've talked about. It's perception versus reality. What this coaching staff is going to look at is some of the stuff you talked about, Tyler, is how many deflections does this team have? How many hustle plays do they have? The effort is always there. The extra pass is always there.
And that's why you always need to engage on defense. Play wide, play with your hands spread high, contest every shot. All of those things, once they're compounded into the end of the game, like those lead to fast breaks.
And we saw that
tonight.
Shooting
the ball well, keep playing defense. It will feed into your offense.
We saw that. We saw the fast breaks. Solo had a couple, and you saw the freak athleticism that he has. There's gonna be, we haven't seen the best of Solo yet. He's gonna make some jaw-dropping plays.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hurley said that he wanted to see growth in his pregame show or talk or whatever.
Yeah.
I thought there was growth from the last game, and I think
for sure
we can't expect anyone who's disappointed. I don't know. I came away feeling good, and I'm looking forward to the next game. I'm looking forward to Maui.
I won by 40 again.
I will say this. The last thing we'll say before we kind of call it a day. I said to folks at the beginning of the season, if Hassan Diarra can give me 10 points and 6 assists, we're in great shape. What did he have tonight? 10 points and 6 assists.
Yep,
because Haas is, I feel like, again, is that stabilizing
defense. Lockdown.
And he also messes with you're right. Always in people's grill.
Reminds me of Gary Payton, man. He is just like a glove, just sticking the guy across from him constantly.
And as much as shit as we give Sampson for fouling, he had 4 blocks
well tonight. Yeah, he played well tonight. He had double the amount of blocks as fouls. Let's keep it that way.
Yeah.
Well,
and
Noel, that's true.
You got good minutes from Noel again, and then
another great guy. Yeah. I think he's going to sneak in too. Like I think again, like it doesn't matter what happens because if Aiden continues to have some of the, what's the issues with his production, then it's a competitive sport. Then you pop someone in that can do it. So
Tyler, to your point, with all these guys trying to play not necessarily hero ball, but trying to make their mark when they get their name called and they're on the court. All these guys are vying for minutes. They're trying to break into that, top 5 either top 5, 6, 7, or 8. You don't want to be a 9th or 10th guy. Everybody on this team is competent enough to be in that top 7, 8. So I think when guys do get on the court and their name is called, they're just trying to make some plays out there to try to
for sure. But that's what impressed me about Stewie though, is because I feel like he didn't.
Good problem to have. Good problem to have.
He impacted the game. I thought Stu was amazing tonight. He did. He just moved the ball. You know, he played good defense. You know, he didn't try to take his, you know, take shots that weren't within the offense.
Yep.
So.
All right, guys. Well, listen.
Cool.
Appreciate you calling in, man.
Appreciate you,
See you
Tyler.
guys.
We're gonna move on, but and probably drop off for the night. But I really appreciate you, man. Repping DC. Come on for the next show.
I will
Talk to you soon,
All right.
brother. All right. Listen, man. Last thing I'll say is this team, to Tyler's point, showed a lot of growth. It's a work in progress, but it is a damn good work in progress, winning by 40 points again tonight. Again,
games with 90 points. They go to, I think
3-0.
Yeah, they're 3-0. We bring on East Texas A&M, who's 0-3.
East Texas A&M.
That next game is going to be on Tuesday, 7 p.m. on FS1. I think they're back at Gamble for that one, so I will be in the house. You know, that's a 0-3 opponent that I'm not going to say the worst team they've played of the three, but probably the lesser.
It is.
They're coming out of the Southland, so probably expect another blowout, but maybe we see some lineup changes. But yeah, should be fun. We'll be back at Gamble for the second time this season. Can't wait.
All right, Dan. Listen, man. I will say last thing, guys, just make sure if you're going to XL Center, make sure you're there. Make sure you're loud and proud, because I get so frustrated when I hear people say it's dead in there. Even on
saw Hurley turn to the crowd tonight. He shouldn't have to do that. Coach shouldn't have to yell to the crowd.
Let him do that. If he does it, make it because you guys are almost going too insane, and he has to get on the mic and says, "Hey, stop making fun of the other team," or whatever. Like,
similar to them using these first 4 games as runway to try to work out some things. The fans are doing the same thing. We're just warming up for a good Maui Invitational, and then some big time games, the Big 12 matchups and stuff like that. So,
all right, y'all. Listen,
consider this our preseason. We'll keep progressing. Let's go.
Have a wonderful rest of your night. I will see you guys on Friday for the UConn women in Greensboro against the University of North Carolina. Definitely come to the live reaction show of that, because I will be in the house, and I may have some pregame stuff. I may have some postgame stuff, but just stay tuned. This has been another episode of Locked on UConn. Thanks, Dan Meehan, for dropping on from Exit 68, my guy, my co-host on a couple days a week. Peace.